Lindenwood head coach Jed Stugart, eighth season overall at Lindenwood. Lindenwood now eligible for the FCS playoffs after finishing their reclassification to Division One. Picked fourth in the preseason poll. So, Coach, just some general thoughts about the season, and then we'll go to some questions.
Well, just really excited to. It's coming on us pretty quick, Kyle. Obviously, this kind of felt good coming out of how our season kind of ended in the last few weeks. We felt like we kind of started to build some momentum, get some confidence as a team, as we've been going through this new journey into the OVC and into FCS Division I football. So obviously, when you kind of bring that kind of momentum out of a season, I felt like it really went into spring. Guys had a lot of energy, a lot of they were hungry. We were definitely not happy with how the season ended. Obviously, because you feel like you left some stuff out there, but I think overall there's just stuff that we can build on. And I think they learned a lot with that, and of course that kind of seeing the energy this summer. How close I feel like our team has become through the summer. We've got a few new faces, return a lot of guys as well, and so you can't help but be excited about it. And although we're grateful to those that voted for us to be there, and that's always something that you're humbled by and everything. But we know at the end of the day, preseason polls, all those things don't really matter. It's about week in and week out. So that's not does not mean we've accomplished anything. We know that, and our guys know that. So we're excited to hear in about 15 days or so to kind of get rolling.
Thanks. I see one hand up. If you got a question, and let me know in the chat, and I'll call on you. And Dan, I hope I don't steal your question, but my question I have first is, when you all made this move to Division One, you originally thought it was going to be 4 years that you couldn't play. It got reduced to 3. Like, when you knew that was a possibility, maybe in January and in the summer you got the word, how is that? Has it changed anything, or it's obviously a positive, but how does that impact anything that you're all doing now that you can play in the playoff?
Well, I thought our guys treated it. I think it does change things positively. I mean, our guys actually know, there's something, there's always something to play for. These guys are competitors and conference, we're eligible to try to win a conference championship, all those things. But, just to know that there's even an extra incentive to know that that we could have an opportunity to go to the playoffs. It's number one in recruiting. That's huge. I think when this first happened, the first couple of years, it's always tough. When you've got to cross that bridge with recruits that are aware of that. Something we didn't hide. We hit it head on, but it's still, the reality is that's that's hard to overcome for the first couple of years. But that's been a positive in our recruiting to know that guys know that we're through that part of the journey, and it's another incentive for our players here to know that if we just take it one game at a time and not get the cart ahead of the horse too much, but that possibility could be there if we take care of business week in and week out. It's a big positive.
Let's go to Dan from Prairie State Pigskin. Dan, whatever you got, go ahead.
Hey, Dan. Good to see you again, Coach. It is kind of a follow-up to what you've talked about earlier and what Kyle said, but now that you're where you're at, how have the previous years built to this, and then what do you do to take that next step?
I think there was, first of all, there was excitement, even though, we knew and the players knew that that I guess you'd call it, I call it a punishment, basically, the criteria or the to move up comes with not being able to go to the playoffs and some other things that you don't get that everybody else gets. It poses a big challenge, but yet, there is also still an excitement of, we felt like we had guys on our team that were recruited to Division I, and maybe they came here, to a D2 program. But that obviously, when that announcement got made, it was exciting because a lot of guys, love that opportunity to play Division I football, and so that was in itself was a motivating factor. But then again, you do this to try to win championships. You want a chance to get to the playoffs to try to make your case, and so. I just have felt a different energy. Not that I don't think our guys cared or, anything before, but I think there was just a different type of energy, kind of in spring when we started hearing that this was a strong possibility, and then into the summer, we're a team that doesn't really talk a lot about it. We don't post things about what we're going to do and all these things, but it's a quiet confidence that we feel like, hey, this gives us even an extra motivation. And so, like I said, it really helps in recruiting. I think that's, obviously people recruiting against you are going to use that against you for 4 years, and that was happening a lot. And we had to, kind of explain that, well, hey, we can still try to win a conference championship and that, but all that's off the table now. So it's really created a different type of energy for sure.
On a personal note, I know how involved you were with your daughter's athletic career, and from what I understand, she's going to play overseas. Is that right?
Yeah, she just finished her first season, got done, graduated at Maryville, finished her college career at Maryville in March. They lost in the GLVC championship game that was hosted here at Lindenwood. So, and then 10 days later, she was on a plane flying over to Australia and signed with the team over there. And they just a little highlight for her, so that she helped be a part of a team that won their first championship in 50 years last Saturday night. So she just landed back here in the States yesterday. We got to pick her up, and so she had a fun, great year, and got to be a part of a championship team for the first time there. So and it was fun. I got to go over and spend 2.5 weeks as well, watching her and kind of seeing Australia. And it was a great opportunity and experience for her. And now I guess I've kind of put my agent hat on, because now we're seeing what next steps are in Australia with if she goes back, or if it looks like there might be some other opportunities. So we'll see. But she won't have to do that until around maybe February or March. She gets a nice long break here, and so and she is all about football. She grew up. She loves this team. She loves every game. So she's excited to be back for football season. People always kind of looked at her as the girl in Remember the Titans, who's running around yelling at referees and everything. So, yeah. Thank you, though. Appreciate you asking about her.
Oh, you're welcome. That's what all I have, guys.
Coach Mark Simpson with the OVC-Big South staff. Going back, again, the SCS eligibility, did you get a chance to kind of tell the team as a unit about, hey, this is official now? What was the reaction or anything like that? Did you get a chance to do that?
I'm trying to remember actually if we had, because when we had kind of heard, I think there's probably a tweet some on X that went out. A lot of guys kind of heard that. Yes, we did. I do remember, when in either one of our spring practices or something, we mentioned that at the end to say, a lot of the guys had already heard, but that it was more official. And when it was official, obviously we were able to make that announcement. There was obviously cheering and some, kind of relief a little bit, because you still have a bunch of seniors. You'll hear from JPET here in a little bit, that's been with us through this journey, going to be a senior. And, those are the things that kind of broke your heart a little bit, to think that there's a chance that, our seniors that have been part of this journey, that have been a legacy guys in our program, to know that they have a shot. That's all we're asking for, is a shot. And there's no guarantees, obviously, but and so what a relief. And it just made me really excited for the senior class that was excited to go to Division I, but kind of had that on their mind that they probably would never get a chance to go to playoffs if they're. And what a relief. That was a great, exciting moment for them when we didn't make that announcement.
And looking toward this year, you have the preseason offensive player of the year, reigning freshman of the year, and Steve Hall. Just tell us about what you see from him, what you're expecting from his growth from year 1 to year 2, and just kind of what he brings to your offense.
Well, he epitomizes kind of what you want on your team as far as just a quality individual. It's one of those things where, he's a very humble guy. He's a local guy right here. We're proud of how we recruit St. Louis and loyal to the Lou here. And, to have him represent the talent that we have here in St. Louis and in the area, and just what he brings to the table, from what his professors think of him, what administrators think of him, what coaches and teammates think of him. I think he cracked a little bit of a smile when we told him that that was his award, because he's not really a guy that's going to run around and pound his chest on that. That's just kind of guy he is. No, he cracked a big smile, but it's one of those things where he's ready to go to work. He doesn't. Like I said, you love things like that for guys that deserve stuff like that, but you love how the humility that they lead with, and I just can't say enough about him. So I'm glad he's on our team. I'll tell you that. And we've got he'll be the first to champion the running backs in the room with him, because we've got really good running backs. It's just kind of a revolving door. It's kind of what we did last year, and those guys were so fired up for him. It's a really close room in our running back room, and he's a key reason why.
And I think you're one of the few of our members that have your returning quarterback. It made Glance in just his season last year, what you're expecting going into this coming year, and having a veteran back there, unlike some of the other schools.
Well, it is. I mean, Coach Avork and I've been together for she's going on 14 years now, but this will be our 14th season. And one day we were talking about the 13 years we were together between University of Sioux Falls and here at Lindenwood. 8 of those years were with only 2 quarterbacks. And so, a lot of that success a lot of times is when you have a returning quarterback that keeps coming back. And so we went through, a couple years where, Cole was going to be kind of our quarterback following Cade Brister, and Cole had a career-ending knee injury, and that put us in a situation where we were having to, kind of get a quarterback, and so this is the first time, returning a starting quarterback, but also like our, with Robert Battle too, our other quarterback that's fighting. We've kind of we're very comfortable with our quarterback situation, and Nate's obviously a returning starter, but he loves the competition. Through spring going into fall, we're going to let those guys push each other, but that's another great room where those guys work together, and with some of our young quarterbacks coming up too. But you could see in spring, Nate got here, last July is when he got here, because we were when we got the news on Cole, it put us in a mode where we kind of needed to get a veteran along with some of our young guys. So when he got here, he had to kind of learn. He was still learning the playbook going into to fall camp and even into our first few games. And you could really see that when he got comfortable there about mid-season, when stuff started to click. And that happens a lot when you have a new quarterback. And so you could see that in spring, just his comfortability, the leadership, how the relationship with him and the receivers in the passing game, and even kind of things he learned last year. When he can run the football. He's making smart choices. I think early in the year, everybody saw that sometimes he's such a competitor, wants to make great plays, but man, you could really see it as he started to really learn from those previous mistakes is really where his game really started to kind of get a lot more consistent and very good. So I'm excited about having a guy back like that.
Thanks, Coach. Good luck this year.
Thank you, Mark. Appreciate you.
We know you're a defensive guy at heart too. So tell us about the defense and what we can expect on that side of the ball.
Yeah, I always say I'm neutral now, Kyle, but the offense during practice thinks I favor the defense. Defense thinks I over correct for the offense. So, I'm kind of sitting in this, but always love to talk about defense. Number one, I've always look at our linebacker core, bringing back, some veterans in our linebacker core, that's kind of in the middle between the run and pass, and Devin Edwards, the captain last year, coming back up, had a real bad pec injury ended his career with surgery. And so, to have a healthy Devin back, number one as a player, but also as a leader, we've got some good experience and veteran leadership in that linebacker room. Jaden Patrick, you'll hear from here in a little bit. Like I said, Ben, I feel like we've been together for 10 years. It feels like, we recruited him out of Oklahoma, out of Jinx, and came here, And, again, in the corner, in the defensive back room has been a great leader for us in the defensive back room. We've added a few new faces defensively, but I feel like our secondary now we've added some depth. We bring back experience back there with him. We've got some new faces and some young faces as well. Defensive line, again, what I like is just the depth that we have on our defensive line as far as, when you get a defensive line where guys can anybody can start week in and week out, it gives you a good feeling, because obviously in the trenches, that's where guys get banged up a little bit, and to know that we've got some depth on the defensive line. And really in that front seven, in our linebacker core and our defensive line group, gives you a little bit of, which sometimes I think we were a little thin at last year. We kind of got a little, like everybody, this is an excuse. We kind of hit an injury bug in the linebacker core last year. Everything hit at once over a period of about 2.5 weeks, 3 weeks. And so, that was addressed, because, when you can survive a couple injuries, but when you kind of get hit in the same position every week, it can get thin quick. And you might be playing some guys maybe not ready, young guys, maybe they need another year, but are kind of thrown in that. So, that's what we felt like we needed to address was some depth overall defensively. But I'm really, really encouraged is at the returners that we have coming back. But what I've loved, this day and age of the transfer portal, obviously we still recruit heavy high school recruitment. We recruit junior college. We've recruited some guys off the portal. But what I've really loved is just this summer, this spring, the guys got here this spring, the guys got here this summer. They just feel like program guys. We have how well our team accepts them and everything. It just feels like we've got a bunch of guys that have been together for a long time. So that's what I've really loved about our new faces on our team, is how they fit into the culture of our program, and that's exciting.
We got time for one more for you, Coach. I ask about your schedule. Last year is the first time you all played an FBS team. This year you get Appalachian State and you get Miami, Ohio. And then you open on the road against a St. Thomas team that has made the move with you and is really good. So just talk about that non-conference portion and those teams you're going to play.
Yeah, I like our non-conference schedule, and it's going to be good to go back. We had a home with St. Thomas, and know Coach Caruso through the years for a long time. Really think a lot of him. Very good football coach. Of course, they made the jump from D3 all the way to D1, kind of bypassed D2, and so they've been on a longer journey than we have. And so it'll be fun to they're going to be we were able to have that victory here last year. So obviously all spring and summer, they've been talking about us. I know him well enough to know that we're going to be talked about for a long time to return the favor. So we got to be ready to roll. And then, I think just because of we picked up Appalachian State kind of later, we had with the move from Missouri State, moving up to FBS, kind of opened up an opportunity. So we picked up Appalachian State later. I mean, I think it's great for our kids for these opportunities to go play this game. I remember last year, I felt like the Kansas game, our guys learned so much in that game, just the speed of it, the things like that. We always want to have a mindset that we don't fear anybody. Let's go in and play. And, I think playing Miami of Ohio and Appalachian State, sometimes you don't want to get too many FBS games on a schedule, but I think I'm really excited just when you take all the football out of it. It's just how beautiful going to Appalachian State's going to be. These guys are going to see an incredible setting and location. It's a beautiful area. It's a great stadium. There's a historic stadium and team there too. So I guess the Michigan Appalachian State story has been used so much. I don't know if, we'll still try to tell that story. You never know, kind of return the favor, what they did to Michigan a little bit. So that's kind of a cool story as well. But so excited about our non-conference. Got Stony Brook coming in here, which we've got a home with. We'll return next year. So some new people we're playing. Our conference is tough enough week in and week out, but I feel like it'll be a good off season or out of conference schedule.
Coach, appreciate your time this morning and this afternoon, and best of luck to your team all year long.
Thanks, Kyle. Appreciate y'all.